Phone call that turns your life into a nightmare. Meet Mark, haunted by a mysterious woman who knows his every move. "You're mine," she whispers as the stalking spirals out of control. I'm 29 now, working a boring office job. But back when I was 23, something happened that turned my life into a waking nightmare. It started with a phone call, one I should have hung up on, and spiraled into a mess I still don't fully understand. If you've ever felt like someone's pulling strings in your life you can't see, you'll get why I'm writing this. I was fresh out of college, living in a cramped apartment in a nowhere town, trying to figure out what came next. My routine was simple: work at a call center, come home, crash with a book or a movie. One night, I was halfway through a sandwich when my phone rang. Unknown number. I almost ignored it, but curiosity won. "Hello," I said, mouth full. A woman's voice came through, soft, shaky, like she'd been crying. "Is this Mark?" "Yeah, who's this?" I asked, swallowing hard. She paused, then whispered, "You don't know me, but I know you. I've known you for a long time." My stomach flipped. "What? Who are you?" "I'm someone who cares. I just needed to hear your voice." Click, she hung up. I sat there, staring at my phone, heart racing. It was weird, sure, but I brushed it off as a prank. Wrong number, maybe. Except it wasn't. The calls kept coming. Every few nights, same time, around 9 p.m., my phone would buzz. Always her, always that soft voice. She'd ask random stuff. "How was your day? Did you like the rain today?" Like we were old friends. I'd demand answers, her name, how she got my number, but she'd dodge, saying things like, "I've always been here," or "You'll understand soon." It was creepy, but she never threatened me, so I didn't know what to do. I told my buddy Jake about it. He's the practical type, big guy, no nonsense. "Block her," he said, chugging a soda. I did, but the calls didn't stop. New numbers every time. Burners, probably. I went to the police, but they shrugged. "No threats, no crime," the officer said. "Change your number." I did that too, but a week later, she called again. "I like your new number, Mark," she said, almost playful. I hung up, hands shaking. How'd she know? I started digging. My phone records showed nothing useful, just random area codes, no pattern. I asked my parents if they'd given my number out. Mom got mad. Dad said no. Jake suggested a hacker, but I'm nobody. Why me? Then, one night, she slipped up. "You look tired at the park today," she said. I froze. I'd been at the park that afternoon, reading on a bench. She'd seen me. I stopped going out as much, kept my blinds shut, checked my locks twice. The calls slowed, but when they came, they hit harder. "I miss seeing you," she'd say, or "You're lonely, aren't you?" It was like she knew my thoughts. I started recording her, scratchy audio of that voice, calm and eerie. Jake listened and went pale. "She's watching you, man. This isn't normal." The first twist came a month in. I got home late from work, flipped on the light, and found a note on my kitchen counter. "I was here. You're safe with me." My door was locked, no sign of a break-in. I called the cops again, and they dusted for prints. Nothing. But that note, in neat cursive, was real. She'd been inside. I crashed at Jake's that night, barely sleeping. Who was she? Why me? I had no enemies, no crazy exes. Just a quiet life, until her. Little did I know, this was just the start of something way bigger. Update 2. After that note showed up in my apartment, I couldn't pretend this was a prank anymore. I was scared, properly scared, and I needed answers. I'm spilling this now because it's been bottled up too long, and if I don't get it off my chest, I'll lose it. That woman's voice, her words, they were everywhere, and I was starting to see her shadow in every corner of my life. I stayed at Jake's for a week, sleeping on his lumpy couch, jumping at every noise. He was great, cooked me breakfast, kept me sane, but I couldn't hide forever. I went back to my place with a new deadbolt and a cheap security camera from the hardware store. The calls had stopped since the note, and I hoped maybe she'd backed off. I was wrong. 2 days later, I was at the grocery store, grabbing cereal, when my phone buzzed. Unknown number. I answered, heart in my throat. "You're out of milk," she said, soft as ever. I dropped the box, spinning around. The aisle was empty, just me and the fluorescent lights. "Where are you?" I hissed. "Close," she said, then hung up. I checked my cart. No milk. She was right. I abandoned my stuff and bolted home, locking myself in. The camera showed nothing. No one near my door. No cars lingering. but she'd seen me. I told Jake, and he dragged me to a PI, private investigator. Guy named Tom, ex-cop, gruff but sharp. I gave him the recordings, the note, everything. She's got access, he said, scratching his beard. Someone you know? Or someone with skills? Hacking, lockpicking. I'll dig. It cost me half my savings, but I didn't care. I needed her gone. Tom started tailing me. Discreetly, he said, to spot her. Meanwhile, I kept living, but I was paranoid. Every stranger felt like her. At work, I'd catch people glancing my way. A coworker, a delivery guy, and wonder. Then, a week later, she called again. You're wasting money on Tom, she said, laughing softly. He won't find me. I nearly dropped my phone. How do you know about him? I know everything, Mark. Click. I called Tom, freaking out. He swore no one could have overheard us. His office was secure. She's bluffing, he said, but he sounded shaken. The next day, I found a photo in my mailbox. Me at the park, reading, taken from behind a tree. On the back, I like watching you think. I gave it to Tom, and he ramped up, checked local cameras, asked around. Nothing. She was a ghost. I started noticing patterns. She'd call after I'd been out. Park, store, even Jake's place. She wasn't just guessing. She was there. One night, I tested it. I told Jake I'd meet him at a diner, then stayed home, watching my camera feed. At 9 p.m., she called. Why aren't you hungry? She asked. You're outside, aren't you? I said, voice trembling. She paused. Maybe. The line went dead. My camera caught a shadow. Someone walking past, hooded, too fast to ID. I called Tom, and he staked out my block the next night. No luck. The twist hit a week later. I was at a coffee shop, waiting for Jake, when a woman sat across from me, mid-30s, blonde, plain-looking. Mark? She said, smiling. I nodded, wary. I'm Lisa. I've been wanting to meet you. My blood ran cold. Are you? No. She cut in, still smiling. I'm not her, but I know who she is. She slid a folded paper across the table and left before I could speak. It was a name, Sarah Klein, and an address. My hands shook as I stared at it. Was this her? Or a trap? I didn't know, but I was about to find out. Update 3. That name, Sarah Klein, changed everything. I'd been chasing a voice, a shadow, and now I had something solid. I'm unloading this here because it's too heavy to keep inside anymore. I need it off my chest. Need someone to hear how deep this rabbit hole went. Lisa's note was a lifeline, but it came with a cost I wasn't ready for. I showed it to Tom that night. Sarah Klein, he muttered, typing into his laptop. Let's see. He found her fast. A 34-year-old woman. No criminal record. Lived 20 miles away in a quiet suburb. Worked remote. Kept to herself. Could be her, he said. Voice matches the age. I'll check it out. I couldn't wait. I drove there myself the next day. A small house. White picket fence. Normal as anything. I sat in my car, watching. No movement. No lights. My phone stayed silent. Number 9 p.m. call. Maybe she knew I was close. I knocked, heart pounding. No answer. I peeked through a window. Curtains blocked everything. Tom called me back as I drove home. She's clean on paper, he said. But I talked to a neighbor. Sarah's odd. Leaves at weird hours. Gets packages she never opens. Could fit. He planned to tail her, but I was restless. That night, I got a call. Not her usual time. 11 p.m. You're curious, she said, voice low. Don't be. Sarah? I blurted. Silence, then a laugh. Clever boy. Click. My skin prickled. It was her. She'd slipped, confirmed it. I told Tom, and he staked out her place the next day. He saw her, tall, dark hair, leaving with a bag. She didn't spot him, but he lost her in traffic. I went back to Lisa's coffee shop, hoping she'd show. She didn't, but the barista remembered her. She's a regular, he said. Keeps to herself. No last name, no help. I was stuck. Sarah knew I knew, and Lisa was a ghost. Then, a package arrived at my apartment. No return address. Inside was a key and a note. You'll need this. Her handwriting, same as the counter note. I showed Tom. Could be a house key, he said, turning it over. Or a trap. Let me handle it. But I couldn't let go. I drove to Sarah's again, key in hand. The street was quiet, her house dark. I tried the lock. It clicked. I pushed the door open, breath shallow, and stepped inside. It was a shrine. Photos of me, kid pics, teen years, now, plastered on the walls. A table held trinkets, my old keychain, a coffee cup I'd tossed months ago. My knees buckled. She'd been collecting me. I found a notebook, dates, places I'd been, notes like, "He's lonely today, he needs me." I grabbed it and ran, calling Tom as I sped off. He met me at my place, flipping through it. "She's obsessed," he said. "Years of this." The police raided her house that night. Empty. She'd bolted, left everything behind. They found call logs on a burner phone matching my recordings, but no trace of her. The twist came a day later. Lisa called me. From a payphone, she said. "Sarah's my sister," she admitted, voice tight. "She's sick, fixated on you since we were kids. I tried to stop her, but she won't quit. Be careful." She hung up before I could ask more. Sisters. One stalking, one warning. I didn't know what to believe anymore. Update 4. Lisa's call flipped the script. Sarah wasn't just a lone creep. She was tied to someone who'd stepped into my life to warn me. I'm spilling this now because it's suffocating me. I need it off my chest before it drowns me. 2 sisters, one obsessed, one scared, and me stuck in the middle, trying to claw my way out. I told Tom about Lisa. "Sisters," he grunted, rubbing his temples. "Explains a lot. Sarah's got the skills. Lisa might have given her your new number, intentionally or not." He dug into Lisa Klein. 36, single, worked at a library. No record, but she'd lived near my hometown as a kid. "They knew you back then," Tom said. "This isn't random." I racked my brain. Did I remember them? Nothing clicked. My parents didn't either, but Mom dug up an old photo album. There, in a park shot from when I was 6, were 2 girls in the background, blonde and dark-haired, staring my way. Could be them, I said, chills running down me. Tom tracked Lisa to her library job. I went with him, needing answers. She was shelving books when we walked in. "Mark," she said, paling. "You shouldn't be here." "You said Sarah's your sister," I snapped. "Why me? What's she want?" She glanced around, then pulled us to a quiet corner. "We grew up near you," she whispered. Sarah was troubled. "She saw you once, playing outside, and latched on. Said you were her special friend. I thought she'd outgrow it, but she didn't." "And you?" Tom asked, arms crossed. I moved away, tried to cut ties. "But she found me, kept talking about you. When you moved back, she lost it, said it was fate. I gave her your number to appease her, hoped she'd stop. I'm sorry." I stared, furious. "You fed me to her. I didn't know she'd go this far," she said, tears welling. "I slipped you her name to warn you. She's dangerous now." "Dangerous how?" Tom pressed. "She's unhinged. Thinks you're hers to protect, or destroy, if she can't have you." Lisa handed me a photo. Sarah, younger, smiling with a doll. "She's gone. I don't know where." The police searched Lisa's place. Clean, no sign of Sarah. But that night, my camera caught her, Sarah, outside my window, staring up. She left a note taped to my door. Lisa lied. "I'm not done." I moved to Jake's again, shaking. Tom upped his game, but Sarah was smoke, always a step ahead. The twist hit a week later. I got a call from my old call center boss. "Some woman's been asking about you," he said. "Said she's family, Sarah Klein." My blood ran cold. She'd called my work, digging deeper. Then, a package arrived at Jake's, my old keychain, the one from her shrine, with a new note. "You can't hide." She'd found me again. Update 5, the last call. Word count, 1,600. Sarah finding me at Jake's was the breaking point. I'd been running, hiding, and she kept coming, like a shadow I couldn't shake. I'm getting this off my chest because it's my last shot at peace. I need to let it go, even if the echoes linger. This is how it ended, and why I'm still looking over my shoulder. Tom moved me to a safe house, a dingy motel, off the grid. "She's escalating," he said, loading his gun. "We end this now." The police had her face everywhere, but she was a ghost. Lisa went quiet. No calls, no help. I felt betrayed, trapped, but Tom stuck with me. 2 nights in, my phone rang. New number, 9 p.m. sharp. I answered, hands trembling. "Mark," Sarah said, voice soft. "You're scared. I don't want that." "Then stop," I begged. "Leave me alone." "I can't," she whispered. "You're mine. Always were." Lisa doesn't get it, but I do. "Where are you?" I demanded, signaling Tom. He traced the call. "Local, moving fast." "Close," she said, laughing. "See you soon." Click. Tom grabbed his keys. "She's in town. We're hunting." We drove, him scanning streets, me clutching her notes like a lifeline. At 2 a.m., she hit. My motel window shattered, glass everywhere, and Sarah lunged in, knife gleaming. I screamed, scrambling back as Tom tackled her. She fought, wild-eyed, yelling, "You're mine!" He pinned her, cuffs snapping on. Police swarmed, dragging her out. She stared at me, smiling, even as they took her. The trial was quick. Sarah pleaded guilty, stalking, breaking, and entering, assault. 10 years, psych ward. Lisa testified, confirmed the obsession, said it started when Sarah saw me as a kid, a perfect boy she couldn't let go. I should have stopped her, Lisa sobbed. I didn't forgive her. I moved again. New state, new name almost. Jake's still my rock, and I'm piecing myself back together. The call stopped, but that last note, "You can't hide," haunts me. Was it just her, or did she leave something behind? I don't know. Writing this feels like breathing again, like I'm free, even if I'm not sure. Thanks for listening. I needed this.